following the cattle out to the back. About tomorrow or so, I'll be fertilizing this grass. And so I figured I'd come in and take a look at it while it's still bright outside. And these animals are not really even eating any grain. If you take a look at the grass is probably, well, this is a flag leaf right here. They call it a flag leaf because it sticks out of the ground like a flagpole, right? I mean, you can see it sticking out of the ground right there. If you take a look at it, you can see it sticking out the ground right there. This is a flag leaf, right? It's got like a flagpole to it. And this is just the grass, the vegetative material of the grass, and this is the flag leaf. So this is what's going to develop the seed head. And so the grass has begun to develop that flag leaf. And I mean, you can see them all over the place, right? If you take a look, you can see them. And so I got flag leaves on the grass. And when the grass starts to develop the flowering parts, the grass there will actually be a change in the metabolism of the plant, and the plant will actually begin to accumulate biomass very quickly. And when the plant has started to develop a flag leaf, that is usually well, in terms of like winter wheat, and it also depends on how much fertilizer, are you fertilizing your field properly, are you even using fertilizer properly, right? I've already said if you don't use fertilizer properly, you're not going to grow anything. All right, that's just how it works out. Don't ask me why. I mean, it just is what it is, okay? And I talk about this all the time in terms of fertilizer. If you have a sulfur deficiency, but you put nitrogen on your field, and you take a look at your plant, and you think that you have a sulfur deficiency, or you think you have a nitrogen deficiency, but in reality you have a sulfur deficiency, and you put nitrogen on your field will become more deficient in sulfur because the plant will have an excess of nitrogen and it will not have enough sulfur. So the sulfur deficiency will actually get worse. So I've always talked about in terms of fertilizer. Fertilizer is like food for fertilizer for a plant is like food for a person. And when you eat a piece of food, you're not eating just one nutrient. You're eating it all at the same time. You're obtaining vitamins, you're obtaining fats, you're obtaining proteins, you're obtaining carbohydrates, and you're obtaining all of these things at the same time, right? And it's the same thing with fertilizer and plants. All right, you got to think about it in terms of an overall ratio, in terms of an overall ratio. What is the metabolic activity of the plant? And if you take a look at the grass, I mean, you're going to see that the grass is, maybe it's about 10 inches tall. Maybe it's about 12 inches tall. And it's, these animals, they're actually, and y'all want to see what grass belly looks like? Look at these animals. I mean, look at these animals and look at that gut on them. Look at the guts on these animals. And these animals are also not bloating. They're not bloating at all, and their manure is a little bit loose. And so, but look at the guts on the animals. I mean, they got big old guts on them. Take a look at this one. Well, that's what grass belly looks like. And and I was actually thinking about this yesterday because the animals are not even eating grain. Even if I give it to them, they won't eat it. They won't eat it even if I give it to them. And so, and you can take a look at the grass. I mean, the grass is probably 10, 12 inches tall across the entire field, and it's actually accumulating biomass even more rapidly. I'm actually about to fertilize the grass. I'm taking a look at it right now and determining how much fertilizer do I want to put on. The original estimate was I was going to do about 25 to 30 pounds per acre, and I will probably stick to that estimate. I will probably just continue to do, the original, what I was thinking was I was going to do 25 to 30 pounds of nitrogen. I'm going to utilize that nitrogen on a 5:1:3 NPK ratio with the micronutrient pack. And I mixed that micronutrient pack so that, I would get the micronutrients across my field when I utilize, a proper level of micronutrients across my field when I utilize 100 pounds per acre. And so y'all can see the grass, and this is what grass belly looks like. Y'all want to see what grass belly looks like? And the cool thing, and look at the little, this steer right here. This animal, when I got him, 2.5 weeks ago, he was very emaciated, and look at him now. I mean, I would say that he's already probably gone up to about a 4 or 4.5. I mean, you know, you can tell that he is definitely packing on the poundage, right? I actually think that this animal's probably putting on closer to 4 pounds a day. Because here's the thing, when it comes to body conditioning score, a very realistic way to look at body conditioning score is like, if this animal was supposed to weigh 900 pounds, 800 pounds at a, you know, I can hardly even see his ribs now, but his you know, the development in his back legs are still not very good, and his hip bones are still jutting out the side. And so, you know, and it's when the animal is completely filled up with food, I mean, it's going to be hard to see their ribs, because I mean, you know, these animals, I've already, you know, I talk about the rumen. You know, the cattle's rumen is different than the human stomach. And so, you know, the rumen of the cattle is it's like a 55-gallon drum. They can hold a massive amount of food in their system. You know, a massive amount. I mean, it's like a, you know, when they get to this size, I mean, it's like they have a 55-gallon drum inside of their body, and they fill it up with grass, and they fill it up with food. So you know, it's different than the human system. And so when these animals, when they fill up that rumen, you can actually visibly see that they are expanding. Like, you can actually visibly see that you can actually visibly tell that they're expanding, right? You can tell that they're visibly expanding. And so, you know, but I mean, that's what grass belly looks like. Y'all want to see what grass belly looks like? Y'all want to see, look at this animal too, right? This is another animal with grass belly. This is actually that Brangus animal that I said that looks just like him. It looks just like him, but got a little bit of ear on him. This is him right here. You see, these two look very similar, but this one has just a little bit of an ear on him. Y'all see that right there? He got a little bit of an ear on, just a little bit of an ear. But I mean, they look just alike. And he's just a little bit bigger than that one. And you know, right now I'm not giving any distiller grains to the animals. Yesterday I was talking about supplementing their diet with distiller grains, and I'm not going to do that. You know, I was actually taking a look at them last night, and you know, one of the animals is actually having acidosis from eating too much grass. So this grass is actually already giving them acidosis. And almost all of my animals actually have a little bit of a looser stool already. So if they have a looser stool, if their poop is a little bit loose, then that's a very easy way to know that they are probably having a lot of energy and protein in their diet. And these animals are not bloating at all. That's also another thing. I don't have any bloat. The animals are completely gorging themselves on grass. And they're actually eating so much grass that it's giving them diarrhea. But they're not having any bloating issues. They're not having any bloating issues, and they are eating a lot. But you can tell that the field, I mean, there's a lot to eat, right? I mean, you know, the grass is probably 10 inches tall. And, you know, I'm actually, you know, and even this grass back here, it's being grazed by, you know, 1 or 2 animals per acre, 24/7. And these are the bigger animals. And the grass is still 10 inches tall. I mean, you know, and if anything, the grass is actually going to grow even more. It's actually going to grow. It's going to grow more rapidly. You know, as the plant enters the flowering stage, as the flag leaf develops properly and the plant begins to prepare itself to flower, it will actually accumulate more biomass. And you know, I talk about this in terms of plant material. You know, plant material is effectively, you know, it grows proportionally. You know, it grows proportionally in terms of a percentage. So you know, the cattle are going to, you know, or excuse me, the grass is actually going to accumulate more biomass more rapidly. And so, you know, and so I'm kind of in this wonky situation. But I mean, you know, I'm not really worried, you know, because these animals, I mean, you know, look, all of them got grass belly. I'm gonna take a look at them, and they're actually eating so much that it's giving them diarrhea. You know, they're actually eating so much that they're having diarrhea, but they're not bloating at all. I don't have any bloating issues. These animals are just completely gorging themselves on grass, which is okay, because, you know, the thing is that as long as they are not bloating, I'm not worried about it. Bloat is what you need to worry about, because, you know, if they're not bloating and they're just filling up their rumen, eventually their rumen will be so full that they'll stop eating. But if they're bloating, then the gas will continue to expand. So I'm not worried if these animals are you know, they can eat as much as they want. All right, if they want to eat, you know, if they want to eat until their rumen is just completely full, then they can do that, no problem. I don't mind, as long as they are not bloating. If they start to bloat, that's when it becomes an issue. But I don't have any bloating. I have zero bloating. I don't have any bloating at all. None of my calves are bloating, not even the animals in the front. None of my calves, none of my animals are bloating at all. So as long as they are not bloating, I'm not worried about it. Because, you know, but that's the way to think about it. That's one way to think about it is, you know, these animals, they got their rumen, right? And their rumen, and, you know, and imagine like a real fat person. You can actually condition yourself to eat more food. You know, if you've ever seen somebody like on My 600 Pound Life, they weren't born 600 pounds, right? I mean, these, you know, not animals, so these people were not born 600 pounds. You know, these people, they effectively, you know, consumed a large amount of food over a long period of time, and they actually got to a point where they could eat substantially more food, right? I mean, you know, think about it like that. Think about it like a person, right? If you have a person who's 600 pounds, that person who is 600 pounds is not genetically 600 pounds. Right, I mean, you know, they're more or less whatever, right? I mean, you know, more or less the same as any other person, more or less, right? Within the median, but they ate themselves to a point where they were 600 pounds, and you can do the same thing with the animals, you know. If they eat a large amount of food for a very long period of time, you can actually, you know, these animals could probably even, well, I mean, that's how you become obese, right? I'm about you know, 40, I'm about 40 pounds overweight. I'm about 30 pounds overweight, and I can already tell you, I eat more, and you know, I'm overweight. I know I am. I'm about 30, 40 pounds overweight, and I eat more than you know, I eat more than whatever than I should to maintain my, you know, I think I'm 30 pounds overweight or something, and you know, and it's like the reason that happened was because I eat more than I should, right? I mean, it's very simple. I mean, it's not complicated. I mean, it's the same thing with the cattle, right? If they eat more than they should, they'll get obese. All right, and you can actually teach yourself to eat more. You can teach yourself to eat more. You can make it a habit to eat more. You know, you could habitually eat more, etc., etc. And so, you know, these animals they're completely full. I mean, you know, and you know, but they're walking around on grass like this. I'm actually about to fertilize this grass. But these two animals right here, they're actually brothers, and these two animals right here are real, just kind of they chase the small animals around and push them around. And so, you know, I kind of want to take these two, but you know, but these two animals, they need to go to the sale barn next month, and so I don't want to take them over to the lease property. Because if I take them over to the lease property right now, then in a month I'll have to catch them again, and then I'll have to take them to the sale barn. And so, you know, I'm gonna figure it out. You know, these two, particularly these two, are real just not good with the little baby calves. They'll chase them around and knock them over. I'm pretty sure it was one of these two that actually hurt the other animal's leg, and the other animal's still kind of wobbling around. But I mean, it's not like some horrible. I think he just sprained it. And you know, these animals right here, you know, these are the animals actually going to market. And I know I was talking about my business plan, and you know, I'm gonna take 7 to 8 animals to the market every month. But this is one of the animals that's gonna be going to market. That's another one that's going to market. You know, and I was talking about this whole situation about, you know, I want to sell 7 or, you know, the business plan is to sell 7 or 8 animals every month. But, you know, but in a situation like right now, you know, the first Monday of the month was on the 3rd, and there's 31 days in the month. So there was a Monday on, and I liquidate on Monday. So there was a Monday on the 3rd. There was a Monday on the 10th. You know, there was a Monday on the 17th. So I sold on the 3rd and the 17th. And there's gonna be there's another Monday on the 24th, and then there's another Monday on the 31st. And so I'm like, you know, maybe I want to go to the sale barn 3 times this month. You know. I'm considering it. You know, maybe I go to the sale barn 3 times, because, you know, these animals right here, and also, you know, that animal over there, that gray one over there, you know, I brought him home 2 weeks ago, and he hit the scale at 645, and I would actually say he's probably close to about you know, he probably put on 4 pounds a day. I wouldn't be surprised if he put on 4 pounds a day. And also, this is something that, I was thinking about this last night. But, this animal right here, I may even be able to raise cattle up to 1,000 pounds. I may legitimately be able to do that very profitably. Because, if I grow grass like this, okay, because, okay, think about it like this grass right here, for me to graze this grass, and, and I've already said, even in the front yard, I have 10 animals per acre, and my grass is still like a foot tall. Even back here, I mean, I have like 1.25 animals per acre. And my grass is still 10 inches, 12 inches tall, and it's actually it's gonna grow even more. Right? I talk about this, in reality, for me to graze 10 acres of grass, I would probably need something like 100 animals. If I was legitimately just gonna graze 10 acres of grass. Something like, because here's the thing, this grass, I would prefer to graze it to the ground and supplement the animals with a total mixed ration. I would prefer to do that than to be in a situation where 75% of my grass does not get grazed. All right, I don't want to be in a, because look at this grass. 50 animals won't even eat this grass. It won't even get close. All right, it won't even get close. And if I don't harvest the grass, then it's profit that I've lost, right? It's money that I've lost. I could have made more money. But then again, it's like, do I really want to be in a situation where I have, 100 cattle on a 10.5 acre field? Do I really want to do that? And it's like, and also, grass does not grow like this all the time, right? Grass does not grow like this all the time. Maybe grass grows like this 7 months out of the year. 5 months out of the year, I effectively don't have any grass or very little grass, right? And so, this is all, if I graze this grass, it's all money going into my pocket. I want to graze this grass, right? I would like to graze. And also, I have another 50 acres on a lease property that is effectively in the same situation as I am here. Right? I'm in the exact same situation on my lease property. I'm actually, when I sell these 3 animals, these bigger 3 animals, when I sell these 3 animals, I will probably make enough money to buy about 2, maybe even a little bit over 2 animals per every animal that I sell. And I'm actually able to, I'm actually not spending any more money on my business at all. And I'm actually raising more animals, substantially more. I may actually even be growing my business by 20% a month. And I'm not spending any more money. If anything, I'm spending less money. My business has actually become more efficient because I'm growing more grass. I talk about this in terms of the cattle business. I'm not really even in the cattle business. I'm in the grass growing business. When it comes to growing grass, I may legitimately be one of the best in the world. Right? In terms of running cattle, in terms of running cattle, I'm pretty good at it, right? Like if you put me in a sale barn and you said, I'm just whatever. If you put me on a field in the middle of nowhere and you said, you're gonna have to go and run your own cattle, I could do better than most people, almost everybody. I could do better, right? Objectively, I could. I'm just, it just is what it is. I'm not born better. I talk about this all the time. But at the end of the day, I'm the one who put in the work and I'm the one who put in the effort. If you think it's easy, go and try it. I legitimately live where I work, and I work 7 days a week. All right, I don't know how else to put it. I've been working on this thing 7 days a week. All right, legitimately. All right, and in terms of growing grass, I've been a grass, I was a crop man before I was a cattle man. Right, in terms of growing grass, I'm effectively one of the best in the world at it. It doesn't even get close. I haven't even seen anybody even do 10%. All right, it doesn't even get close. All right, and if you want to think about it in terms of money, think about it. If you don't understand that, to think about it in terms of money. I'm not, in terms of money, and here's the thing. If I go to the sale barn for a 3rd time this month, if I go to a sale barn for the 3rd time this month, I will actually make like $26,000 for the month. All right, I'll end up making like 26 grand. All right, but and also I'm actually going to be increasing the number of animals that I have, right? Take a look at these 3 animals. Because here's the thing, this animal right here, he probably weighs about 700, 7 1/4. And if you take a look at this animal right here, this animal probably already weighs 650. You know, these two right here, they already probably weigh about 650, 6 1/4. I would say, you know, actually, you know, that one over there probably weighs about 650, and this one probably, well, they're both going to weigh about 650, 6 1/4. You know, if I go to the sale barn in a week, and also this animal, he's probably putting on about 4 pounds a day. All right, you know, by next week, he may even weigh 750, 725. These two animals right here, they may weigh 650, 675. Right, and you know, and I'm not in my business. If anything, my business is costing me less money now, and I'm actually growing the size of my herd, you know, pretty substantially. And here's a way to think about it in terms of growing my herd. If I sell one animal and I buy two, okay, let's put it in a realistic sense. If I sell 7 animals and I buy 14, how many of those 14 animals would have to die for me to just break even? Right, if you include the price of fertilizer, I would have to lose about 5 to 7 animals a month. And I'm not losing 5 to 7 animals a month. My business is actually growing by about 15, 20% every single month. I'm actually becoming more efficient. But I mean, are things going to be like this forever? No, they're not going to be. You know, the spring is when I make the most money. All right, you know, and you know, because like right now, you know, I'm talking about, I may legitimately end up the month making like $26,000. Right, I may legitimately end this month making like 26 grand. But is that going to happen all the time? No, it's not going to happen all the time. Okay, it's not going to happen all the time. It really only happens in the spring and in the fall. Maybe about 7 months, you know, and I spoke about this. You know, there are times when I legitimately look at my business and I'm like, you know, I'm actually making over significantly higher than 20,000. I may even be making more than 30,000. All right, I mean, but does this happen all the time? No, it does not happen all the time. All right, maybe it happens 7 months out of the year. 5 months out of the year, things may even be slightly below average, right? I may have to legitimately put my animals on a total mixed ration for 2 months out of the year, completely on a total mixed ration. But here's the thing, is like, I got that lease property, and that lease property has Bermuda grass on it, and I could bale that Bermuda grass, and you know, I could feed the animals on that. I could use that Bermuda grass as a portion of the animals' feed, right? And that would substantially reduce the cost of my feed. All right, but you know, but I may legit, you know, I was thinking about it because, you know, I sold animals on the 3rd and I sold animals on the 17th, and I got another Monday on the 31st. All right, you know, if I go to the sale, you know, because I was thinking about this, and you know, because you know, and when I take a look at the 3 animals, by next week, these 3 animals are going to be over 650. The 3 of them combined are going to be over 650. But the big problem right now is that this animal is still kind of under conditioned. This animal, I mean, his conditioning has definitely improved. If y'all take a look at him, his conditioning has definitely improved, but it's still not, I'm just going to be straightforward about it. It's not exactly where I want it to be. Not yet. You know, I want him to do a little bit better. And, you know, if I raise, you know, and think about it in terms of this, I have unlimited food. Unlimited food. These animals can effectively eat as much as they want, and whatever they eat, they are going to get a very high quality diet. It doesn't matter what they eat. If they eat the total mixed ration, they will get a high quality diet. If they eat the grass, they will get a high quality diet. All right, it doesn't matter what they eat. They can eat whatever they want, and they will effectively just get a very, very, very good, you know, diet. And so, you know, why, you know, it doesn't matter to me how much the animals eat. It doesn't matter. Right, it doesn't matter, because I'm not going to run out of food on this farm. Or not for maybe another 2 or 3 months. I'm not even going to have to worry about running out of food. I effectively have an unlimited supply of cattle feed for about 3 months, and it doesn't really cost me even anything. It barely costs me anything at all. You know, for me to run about 70 cattle on grass, maybe it costs me about $1,500 a month. And this is the result. I legitimately have 50 acres that look like this for that money. These animals are not even eating grain, even if I give it to them. All right, you know, I effectively have an unlimited supply of food, and the food is very cheap. Very cheap. And the food is of very, very, very high quality. So I don't care if the animal's going to eat a lot of food. If anything, I want them to eat more food, because I don't want this grass to go to waste, right? I don't want this grass to go to waste. Right, I planted this grass and everything. I don't want it to go to waste. If anything, I want them to eat more. Right, and so I'm taking a look at my situation, and but if I sold these 3 animals, but also next week is also time for me to give the animals in the front a booster shot. I'm gonna give them the booster shot next week. And so but this Monday I actually got to go to the doctor. And so I'm thinking, I'm debating it. I mean, these 3 animals, I originally thought that this animal was a little bit bigger than that one, but I actually think that this one's a little bit bigger than, they're about the same. I mean, more or less the same size. But these 2 animals are going to hit the scale at about 650 next week. Maybe even a little bit more. Maybe even a little bit more. And then, but instead of going to the sale barn 2 times a month. But then again, it also depends on, what does the profitability of my business look like. But I was actually thinking about this, and I may even be able to raise animals up to 1,000 pounds. I may be able to do it, and it won't really even matter to me financially. It won't really matter. I may be able to raise these animals up to 1,000 pounds, because look at these animals, right? I mean, because think about it like this: if this is a 600-pound animal, and a 1,000-pound animal eats 50% more than this animal, they're still not going to eat all of this. Not even close. Not even close. I mean, I would need like if I'm going to raise 500-pound animals, I would need like 75 animals to feed 10 acres of grass. And here's the thing: is I actually have 60 acres. I actually have another 50 acres that more or less is just like this, right? It's just like this, and it's growing a large amount of grass. And so, for me to feed 60 acres of grass, I would need I don't even know. I would need 4 or 5 cattle per acre. I mean, I would need 250, 350 animals. What's 60 times, what's 60 times 5? I would need 300 animals to eat the grass. And but I'm thinking about it. What should I do? I can take these animals. If y'all want to take a real close look at these animals, they're actually coming up. I didn't even realize that they snuck up on me like that. But that's what the animals look like. This one, that one. Actually, no, he is a little bit bigger than that one. I was right the first time around. You can tell when they're standing next to each other. This one is a little bit bigger. And, these 2 are already going to hit the scale at about 6 1/4 right as of right now. And, in a week, they'll hit the scale at about 650. And this gray one over here is probably going to hit the scale at 7 1/4. And, and the thing about my business right now is that my efficiency has actually gone up drastically. I'm actually doing substantially better than even what I anticipated. I was anticipating that I was gonna do pretty good in the spring, but I didn't. But my business is actually growing at 20% a month, maybe even more. I may actually even be growing my business by more than 20% a month. And I thought it was gonna cost me about $2,500. Because but I thought it was going to cost me about $2,500 to run my business a month, but it's not going to cost me $2,500. And I thought that my animals were going to put on about 3 pounds a day, and they're going to put on more than 3 pounds a day. These animals, they're going to put on more than 3 pounds a day. I thought it was going to cost me more, and I thought my gains were going to be lower. I thought that my because here's the thing, is that I did not anticipate that my animals would just completely gorge themselves to a point where they're, they just continue to eat no matter what. I thought that they would eat 3.25% of their body weight, and then they would stop eating. But these animals, they just continue to eat. They just continue to eat, and you can actually see that they're swelling up. They are swelling up, and they just continue to eat. And they might actually even be eating more than 3.25% of their body weight a day. And that might, and as their poundage increases, the amount of food that they consume will increase as well. And so, my results are actually better than I anticipated, and the costs are lower than I anticipated. You know, I was running my estimates. Actually, let's go take a look at the grass in the back. I was actually, you know, when I ran my estimates, I thought that it was going to cost me about $2,500 a month, because I thought that the animals would eat the grain. I thought, you know, I thought I would have to supplement them with some grain, but they're not even eating the grain. Even if I give it to them, they won't eat it. You know, I'm feeding about 2 buckets a day right now. They're not even eating it. And the animals, and I thought that maybe they would put on about 2.5 pounds a day on the, you know, maybe they would put on about 2.5 pounds a day. They're probably putting on closer to 3.5. You know, my results are actually better than I anticipated, and the costs are lower than I anticipated. And you know, you can see the grass. I mean, it just goes straight to the back. I mean, the grass is about 10 inches tall all the way to the back. And so, you know, but that, you know, but in all on, and you know, and I talk about this in terms of reality sense. You know, I didn't plan. I honestly did not plan for things to go this well. I did not. And I'm not saying that to sound like an arrogant prick. I did not plan for things to go this well. I didn't. All right. And, you know, and when things happen like this, you know, I always say that, you know, I give it to God. I did not plan for things to happen like this. I did not plan for things to go this well. I didn't. All right. You know, I had a feeling that I was going to do good. Right. I know that I do very well. I did not know that I was going to do this well. I did not. All right. I thought I was going to put on about 2.5 pounds a day. And I thought it was going to cost me about $2,500 a month. I thought I was going to be compounding my business upwards by about 10% a month. But right now it's actually looking like 15 to 20%. And the reason for that is because my animals are gaining more every day, and the costs are actually lower than I anticipated. I'm actually spending less money, and I'm running more animals, and my animals are actually gaining more every single day. And my estimates were very low. And to put things in perspective, you know, I may legitimately be taking animals to the sale barn next week. I may just go ahead and do it, you know, because I was thinking about this whole situation. And, you know, because my original idea was that I was going to sell, you know, 7 animals, 8 animals a month, right? I was going to sell 6 or 7 animals a month. But, you know, and then I told myself to not do that, and then to think about selling the animals at $650. And then, you know, and then I was taking a look at the whole situation yesterday, and I was like, well, I sold on the 3rd and I sold on the 17th. So, you know, if I sold on the 3rd and I sold on the 17th, and, you know, my average weight estimates were very accurate. I mean, I was off by about, you know, not even, you know, if I put it all together, I mean, I was very accurate, under 1% margin of error. And, you know, I'm taking a look at it, and, you know, I may actually end up selling animals again in a week. I might. You know, and then if I do that, I wouldn't be selling 7 animals this month, right? I wouldn't be selling 8 animals this month. I would be selling, you know, I would be selling like 10. And so I may actually make more than I may actually even make more than $30,000 this month. And so, you know, that's another way to look at it, you know, because, you know, well, I mean, but here's the thing. But I'm only going to do that if my animals in the front, the animals that I'm currently preconditioning in the preconditioning pen right now, I'm only going to do that if the animals in the preconditioning pen are actually ready to go. Now I'm going to give them their booster shot. Ooh, I almost grabbed the hornet. Did y'all see that hornet? I don't know where it went, but I almost grabbed that thing. But this is what the grass looks like right now. I mean, the grass is probably, you know, it's probably, I don't even know, maybe about it's somewhere about a foot tall. You know, grass is about 10 inches tall, foot tall. And I'm grazing this field at about 1.5 animals per acre, 1.5 animals per acre. You know, and, you know, and I've always said that in terms, you know, I give you my results because my results are more than likely some of the best in the world. Some of the best, all right? You know, I don't have any irrigation equipment. It's not like I have 5 employees. I'm just here by myself. All right, I legitimately grow my own grass. I run my own cattle. I run my own business. All All right, I do this by myself. All right, I do it by myself in terms of growing grass, in terms of legitimately harvesting crop, and in terms of we're not harvesting crop because it depends on what crop are we talking about, right? Am I going to be, one of the best corn growers in the world? I don't know. I haven't ever, I wouldn't touch the corn industry with a 50,000 foot pole. Not in Texas. All right, and in general, I probably wouldn't do it. I mean, why would I grow corn if I could just grow grass and then graze it? Why would I grow corn? Why would I do that? And I talk about this in terms of a reality standpoint. I could feed an entire, this city that I live in, I could probably feed this entire city for like a week with 10 acres of cattle. But if I was going to feed the entire city for a week growing vegetables, I would need like 50,000 acres. The concentration of calories is drastically higher in meat than it is in vegetables. And think about it like this. If you had a salad, how much salad or how many soybeans, how much tofu would you have to eat to get enough calories to effectively just have your calorie limit for the day? How much salad would you have to eat? Right, and I already talked about this in terms of calories for like something like a vegetable. When you eat a vegetable, what you're actually eating, the reason you're accumulating calories is because you're more or less effectively ingesting simple sugars like carbohydrates. And the reason that the plant material has these sugar molecules inside of them is because plants have a cell in them called the chloroplast. And when that chloroplast interacts with sunlight, when the sunlight goes through the chloroplast, there is actually a chemical reaction in the plant, and the plant will create sugar. And when the plant has sugar, it now has a source of energy, and as it is accumulating these various minerals like calcium, I've already talked about all, the same calcium that is in the soil is the same calcium that is in your bones. It is the same calcium that is in my bones. It's the exact same mineral. And so when the plants are accumulating these minerals, via their various means, right? I mean, sometimes the water will dissolve the mineral into a solution, and then as the water permeates through the soil, it will come into contact with the root material. Sometimes the root material will physically grow and legitimately just collide with the mineral. There are different ways, and some like carbon dioxide. Plants create their physical structure. The carbon that the plant needs to create its physical structure is actually obtained through the atmosphere via, exchanging of water, right? I talk about I've talked about all this stuff already, multiple times, right? Plants obtain water and then exchange that water molecule through pores in the bottom of their plant material. And when they do that, they exchange the water molecule for carbon dioxide, and that carbon dioxide, they pull the carbon out of the carbon dioxide, and then they utilize that, and then they respirate the oxygen, right? Then they release oxygen. People know that plants release oxygen, right? I don't know if plants release oxygen from the carbon dioxide or from the water, but I'm not like a plant physiology specialist. I just know that, well, not just I just know, I've read into it, I've looked into it, right? And I've informed myself, via reading scientific papers. All right, I've informed myself by watching lectures, scientific lectures. Okay, plants obtain this water. They excrete the water out their pores, and when they excrete the water out their pores, they are able to leave that pore open. And the reason they do that is because they exchange the water molecule for carbon dioxide. And so and as the plant grows, it will effectively, and as that happens, the plant will effectively begin to store sugars, right? I mean, photosynthesis, right? That's the whole idea of photosynthesis, right? The plants create sugar, and when the plant has sugar, and the plant has minerals, and the plant has carbon dioxide, and the plant has water, that's when you end up with something like this, right? It's very simple. It's very simple. The answer's probably not going to change. Unless some scientist discovers that, what we thought about plants was wrong all along. I mean, and if that happens, that'd be very interesting. I would want to read the new idea. If that legitimately happens, I would be very interested. But as far as we know, that is how it happens, okay? Plants obtain minerals via their root material, sometimes even through their leaves, They excrete the water out of the pores in their leaves for carbon dioxide. They actually exchange the water molecule for carbon dioxide. And that carbon dioxide, the carbon in the carbon dioxide is what actually creates their physical structure. That's, as far as we know from my understanding, that is what science has deduced as of this point. If that changes, I would be very interested, and I will tell you I will tell you what happened. All right, but as far as I know, that is how it happens. All right, and so but I may be selling more animals by the end of the month. I may go to the sell barn again by next week. I may go to the sell barn again next week. But I'm only going to do that if the animals in the preconditioning pen are actually preconditioned and ready to get out of the pen. If they're ready to, and I've already said that, I can just use the big area in the back. I could give them all their booster shot for vaccinations, and I can just let them all back out here. But I'm only going to do that if I liquidate the big animals, because I don't want the big animals chasing the small animals around and hitting them. All right, that's not going to be good. It'll make things hard for the small animals. And so I was like, maybe I could even just take the animals to the lease property. But if I take the animals to the lease property, then in a month I'm gonna have to catch them again, and then I'm gonna have to take them to the sale barn. And I don't, is that really, I gotta think about that. But I may, because these animals, but I also